Good morning, everyone. So let's continue today with our topic. Fine. So in the last session, last topic from Java, I will be completing today. So we discuss about compile time exception, runtime exception, right? And the purpose of throws keyword. Generally, what happen? Any compile time exception you are having, right? You are able to handle it using what? Yes, throws keyword. Correct? And if you have any runtime exception, you can easily handle using try catch. So yesterday we have just seen what is exception and how exactly we can handle that exception. Let me continue the same topic today. Let me just come to the Java part. Just have a look. Okay. So this was our topic and we discussed so far only this part, right? What is difference between exception and error? Then we have seen there are two types of exception. One is a checked and unchecked, which is nothing but compile time and runtime exception. Correct? And then guys, we discuss this part. So we have try block, we have catch, and then we have throws. Correct? Today I will continue what is purpose of finally and what is throw keyword. Right? So in general, try to understand try catch will always help you to handle the exception. That is the first point. Second point is what? What is the purpose of throws keyword? I told you that whenever there is a compile time exception, and if you observe, okay, that exception, you can throw it. But when you throw it into method, right? Then if that method is calling by some other method, in every method you need to compulsory throw that exception. Right? So we have seen this part. So suppose I have exception in this method, M3 method. And if I'm calling M3 by M2, again M3 or M2, I'm calling in M2, M1, right? What is the problem in this case? For every method, you need to throw that exception. Finally, M1 we are calling into main method. So main method also has to throw that exception. So that is a part for throws keyword. In every method, you need to throw it. Okay. And that's the reason. Then this particular technique is called compile time exception. You are able to handle any compile time problem using throws keyword. But now what we need to understand how exactly, okay, finally will work. And is it try catch is similar like a finally? What is finally method? We need to understand this part. Guys, technically, finally is another block. Okay, not a method, it is a block in exception handling. But what is the purpose of finally? See what the point is mentioned. Finally block is execute or it is used to execute important code of the program. And it is always executed whether an exception is thrown or not. Means, first point, finally block is not there to handle any exception. Suppose in your project, you wanted to run some specific code. Okay, even though in any situation, let's say your code or let's say your project is getting creating some problems or project is working fine, still you wanted to run any specific block, okay, or some statements which is common statement, important statement. Okay, those statements you are able to run using finally block. Means whether in your program exception is there or whether exception is not there doesn't matter. But still you wanted to run something from your project, compulsory you can use a finally block. But there is another rule. You can't write only finally block. You need to write finally block along with the try only. Remember. So example, if I can show you practically. Okay, let's see. I'm creating here new class under same package, exception handling. And let me write the purpose of this class is finally block, right? Let's understand what is this block and how we can use it. So let me take a main function. Now just have a look. If I try to write only finally, okay, Java will not allow you to write only finally block. Try to understand. So what is the error message I'm getting? See, it says that this is syntax error, delete it. Because Java says that finally block is always a part of try. Means very first, I need to write try block. Along with the try, finally allowed. So this is the first point you need to remember. Okay, we know that purpose of try block. If any statement in your code, it is throwing any exception, that statement we keep inside the try block. Okay, let's see. I'm writing here 9 divided by 0. Okay, I wanted to print, result of this division. And if you remember, yesterday we discussed different exception. Whenever I try to write 9 divided by 0, like what will be the output in the console? You will definitely get, okay, exception. That is arithmetic exception. Okay, before exception, suppose if I write 9 divided by 3. At this moment, what will happen? 9 divided by 3, answer you will see in the console, division result you will see in the console, and then control will come to the finally block, and whatever statement you have written in the finally, that will be executed. So example, at this moment, I'm just writing, okay, test completed, fine. I'm just writing this message, test completed. So first let's understand basic flow of finally. Means at this moment I'm trying to run, so how the code is working, just have a look. You are getting result of division first, and then you are getting test completed message. Great. Now guys, I wanted to show you exception. So I'm writing 9 divided by 0. And definitely whenever we try to divide any number by 0, you will immediately get exception. That is arithmetic exception. So line number 9 will throw the exception. But then, is that mean finally block will handle the exception? Not at all, guys. Finally is not here to handle any exception. This is special block in Java. It will execute in every situation. Means even though in your code there is exception, even though in your code there is no exception, still the code will run. And see this beauty. If I execute it, at this moment, you will see exception as it is, but see finally block executed. Can you see that point? So at this moment, I'm getting first finally block executed, and then I'm getting exception in the code, which is arithmetic exception and which is available at line number 9. Means it is very sure that finally block will not help you to handle the exception. Then for handling what which block we can generally follow, it is all about the catch block. So just have a look. If I add here catch, and catch is also part of a try. So you just need to write try first, then catch, and then finally. Okay. But in catch, what we can write? Exception name. Let me take this exception name which I got this now, which is arithmetic exception in our code. And I will be writing. Okay, great. So this is exception. And suppose I just wanted to write here a simple message for the user that please enter, okay, number other than 0. So mathematically, we can't take 0 and we can't divide any number by 0 in Java, right? You will get exception. At this moment, what will happen, everyone? How the code will work? Very first, this statement will executed. Now this statement will throw the exception. So it will come into catch and it will handle that exception. You will get a message, please enter number other than 0. And then in this case also, finally will be constantly executed. So finally block is not at all for any kind of exception handling. Any special program if you have, and in your project for any situation you wanted to run it, with exception, without exception, you can use finally block. So generally this block is helpful to run special code in your project. Got it? So remember the rule why we use finally, just to execute special code. So what does mean by special code? Another question. Example C. Somewhere in your project, you need to start your server, right? You need to stop the server. These are the basic activities, correct? But now consider, in your project, if any functionality get failed, still I wanted to stop my server in any condition. Such a special code you can write inside the finally block. This is what we do in the real time. Got it? Suppose you are using some database connectivity with your project. And after completion of the project, I just wanted to close that database connectivity. But suppose I wanted to close the connectivity in any situation. If project also successfully executed, then also I wanted to close. If any problem is occur in my project, still I wanted to close the database connectivity. Then that logic I will keep inside the finally, because finally block will always execute it with or without execution. That's the main part. So if I try to run this code, please have a look. Got the result? I got first handling solution. Please enter a other number than 0. And then I'm getting this test completed from the finally block. And this is the point you need to understand how this console is executed. Clear everyone? So what is the purpose of final block? Remember, finally block. Yes, just a minute. So finally block will help us, right, to write special code, correct? Special code, and this block executed in every, okay, every, let's say better I will write hmm, special code, and then this block executed with and without exception. Remember this point, okay? With and without exception. So in any condition, just to execute special code, we are able to write this particular, okay, finally block, and finally block will be executed with and without exception. So this is the point you need to remember for the finally. So finally will not help you to handle exception, but yes, handling part we will just complete with the help of, okay, finally block. But I mean, handling part will be able to complete only with the help of catch block. But suppose you wanted to run anything special, right? Special program, then only we can use finally block. This is the point you need to remember. Got it? I hope it is clear, everyone. Now let me talk about last keyword from exception handling. We have throw keyword. Okay. Let me tell you who has created these exceptions when you see any special class, right? Who has created this exception? These exceptions created by the developer. Agree? Generally, throw keyword will help you to throw the exception. Means if you wanted to customize your own exception, generally we can use a throw keyword. But we need to understand what is difference between throw and throws. Correct? See, yesterday we discussed about one more scenario, which is the property file reading concept. Correct? And here I have shown you how you can read the data from the property file. And generally what happen, whatever exceptions we are getting, we can directly throw those exceptions. Throws keyword help you at a time throw multiple exception. Let's say example in the same code, if I write one more thread dot slip, okay? But we know that if you are writing parent class name, it will not show any exception to you. Just have a look. Suppose I'm writing here 3000 timeout, okay, and just I'm writing here very first statement, something like, okay, fine, program started. Program started. Okay, if I write this statement, at this moment I'm using throw that parent class name. So I'm not getting any exception. Let me remove this. Now please have a look. As soon as I remove this, now what to throw? Okay, let's save the code. See, now you can just have a look. 3 lines you are able to see the error, right? Line number 1, where you are having what? File not found exception first, correct? But file not found exception is a child class for this class, IO exception. And then this is different exception, correct? Interrupted exception. Let me throw one by one. If I throw this, you can see throws interrupted exception. Great. Now I will come to line number 2 and I will just throw this exception too. Can you just have a look? At a time, you are able to throw multiple exceptions if you follow throws keyword. Correct? But please make a note. Now, if I talk about file not found exception, if I remove it again, just have a look. If I again remove this exception, and if I just come to this part, okay, let me remove this semicolon, I mean comma also, and let me try to import it again. Okay, let me throw it again and see this hierarchy. What is this? File not found is a child of IO exception. IO exception is a child of exception. So when I import file not found, what will happen? Now I can see there is a one more exception available, which is a IO exception. And if I try to import this one, just have a look. Automatically child will be handled by the parent. So try to understand when you follow throws keyword, you can handle at a time multiple compile time exception. Correct? But using throw, it is not possible. Everyone. Using throw, it is not possible. You can't handle multiple exceptions at a time. Throw keyword will help you to just throw an exception. Generally, for customization part, we use throw keyword. Now, as a tester, we don't need throw keyword. We are not going to develop any exception. In Selenium, whatever exceptions are there, those exceptions you need to study. You need to understand why we are getting it. And according to that, you need to make the changes in your automation script. So generally, whenever it is necessary, we can handle the exception. But whenever there are exceptions directly coming from Selenium, we need to just observe the exceptions and we need to make the changes in our code. Okay, now try to understand. So basically, how the throw will help you. Before throw, let me show you this difference. What is difference in both throw and throws keyword? So guys, please understand Java throw keyword will help you to explicitly throw an exception. And Java throws keyword will help you to declare an exception. Got it? Generally at compile time, we handle throws keyword. Checked exception cannot be propagated using throw only. Try to understand. Compile time exception you can't directly propagate using throw keyword. So throw is followed by instance. Means after throw you need to write a instance object of the class. But throws always followed by the class. Means when you write na this way, throws, you need to write here class name only. But when you write throw, we need to write instance object of particular class. Are you getting my point? So that is the point written here. And throw is used within a method. Okay, so when you write a method inside the method, you can declare a throw. But throws we can write with method signature. Correct now? So when you declare a method, along with the method only you are writing throws keyword. Means suppose if I am having any method, let's say main method, along with the main method I'm writing throws keyword. Correct? That is a signature or rule to write a throws keyword. And again, throws keyword can handle multiple exception. We can declare multiple exception, right? But throw cannot do the same. Throw can at a time only hold one exception. So guys, let me show you this part. Before this, what I will be doing, I will be showing you my own exception. Let's create our own exception. Is it possible to create our own exception? Absolutely yes. See, that is the point available here, exception propagation. Generally, okay, whatever exceptions you are writing, customization is possible. If you remember one exception, we have seen number format exception in the last session. And you know, whenever you are able to see complete stack trace for that exception, that is called exception propagation. Means why we are getting number format exception, from which line you are able to see that exception, each and every stack trace you are able to see in the console. So let me first show you propagation, then I will come to the point how you can create your own exception. So just have a look. Now suppose this is the demo for throw keyword. So let me create a new class. Okay, this is what throw keyword demo, and I'm just going to create a main function. Let's talk about yesterday example. Okay, suppose I'm declaring here string. Okay, string s1 is equal to, let's say 90. Same example I have given you yesterday. And we know that this is a string. I wanted to compare or I wanted to convert it in the form of integer, because if I try to print s1, okay, s1 plus, let's say 100, answer will be 90 and 100. Because string, when you apply plus operator, it will just perform concatenation, merge, correct? But at this moment, I wanted to convert into integer. Then I will use wrapper class, integer. Then I will use parse method and I will pass s1 to this method. And then you will see the result, which is integer number. Great. Now, when you have that number, what you can do? You can just perform again addition. And this time you will see the result 190. Okay, so we know that. This is how we can do typecasting and you will able to see the appropriate result. Great. But this parse integer method will only work if number is, okay, convertible. What if number format is wrong? If I write here ABC, you can't convert this string in the form of number now, because we have a combination of data now. We have integer number plus we have ABC, which is nothing but string. So this part you can't convert and you will get exception. Okay, so exception you will get on this line because of parse integer method. Let me run this code and see this number format exception. And now just have a look. What is the meaning of these multiple lines? In previous example, you might able to see only one exception name and the next line where the exception is coming. But here you are getting complete stack trace. What is this? This is called complete stack trace. Now please have a look. So this is my exception, says number format exception. Now you can see here number format exception in Java line number 67. What is this 67 line? Is it this line available in our class? No, guys. This is internally available. The problem with this particular inside this class. So where Java has declared this class, in that class at line number 67, we have this issue. Okay. Then you can see next stack trace I'm getting integer Java 668 and integer Java 786. So what is this? I'm getting that first of all in my code, it throws by the line number 10. Then it goes to the integer class and it says that line number 786, we have this exception. Then it is coming to line number 66 and it is showing that line number 668 having this exception. And finally, it shows that number format exception class where line number 67, we have this exception. So somewhere you will able to see exception propagation. By default, whatever classes are there in Java, in which line this exception is actually occurred. You are able to see complete stack trace. And this part is called exception propagation. Got my point? Because see, in some exception, you will able to see in this manner, complete flow. Okay. But if I comment this, now please have a look. If I just comment this line and I'm writing a very simple statement, same statement 9 divided by 0. At this moment also you will get exception, but you will not see complete propagation. You will just have two lines and where you can see the meaning. Okay, just arithmetic exception. See, I'm getting arithmetic exception and line number this. Okay, line number what? This 14. I got this exception. That's it. So here you are not able to see any stack trace, but some exception shows you stack trace. That is what the point. Okay, so this exception shows you, let me write stack trace. Okay, you are able to see stack trace from this exception. Clear? But this is not a purpose of throw keyword. Mainly throw keyword will help you to customize your exception. So better let me show you this part. What I'll do, I'll create a new exception. Every exception is a class, right? So I'm just creating now new exception. See, my exception name is string is null exception. I'm writing here string is null exception. So new class I have designed. Okay, let me show you how you can simple create your own exception. Let's say my new exception name is string is null exception. And guys, in Java, every exception is a child of exception class. So better let me write the relation. It extends exception class. Great. Done. And let me save it. Now what I'm going to do, I will just create a constructor of this exception. Okay, so let me write this constructor. And here I'm calling super constructor, right? So basically I'm calling here parent class constructor. Who is a parent class now? Exception is a parent class constructor. And suppose here I'm writing some string message. So somewhere what we can do, we can print, we are able to print that message too. So I'm just writing some message. And this is my constructor which is ready. And let me declare at this moment as a public. Okay, done, save. My constructor is ready and even my exception is also ready. Now let me show you throw part. If I come to the class throw keyword demo, here what I'll do, I'll declare one string, string s1 it is equal to, at this moment I'm writing null. Okay, there is nothing, null, empty, unknown. Now I will put one condition. If s1 it is matching to null, what I wanted to do, my condition is if s1 is null, I wanted to throw this exception. There we write throw keyword. Throw new. And what is that new exception, guys? So my exception name should be string is null exception. Okay. And in this exception, I mean, in this instance, we are passing some message. Let's say null string. Okay. I'm just writing null string. That's it. Okay. So this is what you are able to throw any new exception in Java. Generally, throw keyword will not help you to handle exception. But if you wanted to throw any exception explicitly, there you can use a throw keyword. But see what I'm getting now. This is exception which I have already implemented in some other class. I have saved that, right? At this moment, it is asking me that you got unhandled type of exception, which is string is null exception. So means this is my compile time exception and I need to throw it. How we can do the handling? Using throws keyword. So now let me throw this declaration. See, guys, this is a new class which is designed by me, correct? String is null exception. And now it is a child of exception class because we write that definition in our program. Got it? If you remember, I have written now string is null exception extends exception class. Because of this, now I'm getting new exception in Java hierarchy. Got my point? So here I have thrown that. And now please have a look. Technically, our string is null. So if I run this code, this will throw you this new exception in the console. And please have a look. Now I got this new exception. String is null exception. Easy. So I can see this string is null exception here. And we are not able to see that message, right? So let me try to print it. So currently, I'm just trying to print that message to what message we are getting, right? Let me save it. Again, if I come back to throw, and now let me just execute it. So yes, can you see that? Now we got the message, null string, and plus we are able to see that new exception also in the console. That string is null exception. Okay. So this is what you need to understand, that if you really want to design your own exception, we can use throw keyword. But throw will not help you to handle. Try to understand. And at a time, only one exception you are able to throw. Correct? So this is all about customization part. Okay. Or we can say this is all about the how exactly you are able to handle exception in Java. Mainly remember try catch block we generally follow to handle runtime exception. Throws you can handle to just handle compile time exception. And now this part we have seen throw and throws difference. And this is the last interview question. People will ask you, what is difference between final, finally, and finalize? Remember, final we have discussed during inheritance, which is a block. I mean, final is a keyword, not a block. Finally is a block and finalize is a method. So final keyword, we can apply at three level. Variable, we can apply to method, we can apply to class. If you write variable as a final, no one can change the value of that variable. If method is final, no one will, override that method. Updation is not possible. And if class is final, no one can simple become a child class, right? We can't extend that class by any other class. Correct? Finally, just now we have seen it is a block. Any special code you wanted to run with or without exception, you can use finally block. And finalize, it is a method. When you say finalize method, what is the purpose of finalize method? Guys, Java will take care its memory, okay? But automatically means what? We don't need to write any special code for it. Technically, what happened? In Java programming language, JVM is responsible to take care of the memory management. We don't need to do any memory management for the JVM. So what JVM will do? Just have a look. Let me just open the board. Okay. Hmm. So let's see, we have discussed about some memory management, correct? So we have, this is the heap area. And in heap area, already the objects will be there, correct? So let's say there are multiple objects available and every object is occupied. Okay. But now few objects are not important for us. Maybe JVM, what the JVM will observe, JVM will check if any object is not used, right? Then such a object, suppose JVM has to delete. Now suppose these two objects JVM has to delete. What the JVM will do? JVM internally call JVM internally call garbage collector. Okay. GC is what? It is a garbage collector. This is the separate, process that JVM internally follows. This garbage collector is responsible to destroy the object. Those are not necessary. Correct? But what this garbage collector will do internally? Garbage collector internally call one method which is called finalize method. What is the purpose of this method? Before that object will destroy, finalize method will clean the memory. Are you getting my point? Finalize method will clean the memory. Means whenever finalize will call by garbage collector, it will just come to that unnecessary object. It will first clear the memory. Once it is done, then garbage collector delete that object from the memory. Means from that heap area. And you will get some space internally inside the heap area. So basically, finalize method called by the JVM automatically. We don't need to take any special code. We don't need to write. But this process is used for what? Just to clean or destroy the object which are not required in JVM. Correct? So finalize is used to perform cleanup processing before the object is garbage collected. And what is garbage collection? Garbage collection in Java, it is automatically happen during the lifetime of that program. Generally, it eliminates the need to deallocate memory and thereby avoiding memory leak. Mean generally, resource you will get, memory you will always get because those objects are not necessary. It will be automatically deleted by the JVM. The memory will be free and you can use that memory to write your logic. Correct? So generally, system.gc, suppose they mention that if you really wanted to call separate garbage collection, follow this code. Just you need to write system.gc and you can call that garbage collector. But generally, we don't need to do this. Remember. So final is a keyword, finally is a block, and finalize it is a method. Very famous interview question. Here we have completed our Java programming. See, this is the point which I have shown you. How to customize Java exception. So guys, here I have created invalid age exception. In your example, I have shown you string is null exception. Either you can create that particular exception and then guys, you can able to call that exception using throw keyword. Correct? That is what the customization part. And here we have completed technically our Java program. So I hope, I think 26 or 27 sessions we have taken only for Java. Correct? Because all the points are important to know, right? Now it is your time. Prepare well for all the topics, right? Practice it, and then only you will understand the whole concept. Correct? So Java is over. Prepare well. Very soon I will update for the interview, like mock interviews. And those are interested, you can join that session too and just continue with your mock interview, right? So prepare well for all the topics of Java. Okay, any doubt, any questions so far? Lot of
Madam,
topics we have learned, correct? Yes,
yeah.
go ahead.
So I just wanted to check if we can get this PPT or any kind of other note.
Yeah, it's already there, Priyanka. Have you seen your drive?
On Drive it is okay. I was
Yes, yes,
checking
yes.
into that Git repository, but it is there
No, no,
on
no,
Drive.
no. It
Okay,
is in
okay. I'll
drive.
check it. I'll check it. No problem.
You can just take it directly from the drive. It's already uploaded, and there you can get all these notes. In fact, today I will upload interview questions related to Java. Okay, that you can start preparing again. And that will
Okay.
also help you to prepare as per the topic. Correct?
Hmm.
So, yesterday we discussed that today we'll be starting with Selenium. Yes. So, the core concepts of automation will be starting now. So, if you remember, on first day we discussed basics of automation. Correct? When you talk about automation testing and when you talk about Selenium, Selenium is very popular functional testing tool. Using Selenium, you are able to test any web application. Every tool have its own advantages, have its own limitation. The basics of automation we have already discussed. And you know that Selenium is not a one tool. It is actually comprises with multiple component. But the latest component which is very popular in the market, right, which is WebDrive. So generally Selenium ID is there. Okay, nowadays also we can have Selenium ID. But let me tell you, ID generally we don't follow for automation testing. Why? Because it is very, very basic tool. Okay, if you really wanted to test any basic functionality, we can use Selenium ID. But generally, normally IT organizations they don't allow ID to use because it is like a plain robot. Record and playback facilities are there. Okay, so we don't follow Selenium ID. But we need to focus on this part. What is WebDriver? How we can use WebDriver and how we can automate our script or any logic or any application using Selenium WebDriver. Again, lot of topics will be learned. Latest version which is available in the market, which is Selenium 4. If you remember, we discussed, okay, architecture for Selenium WebDriver. That is again on the previous sessions whenever I discuss with you, like that automation basics, correct? So let's talk about today also what is WebDriver and how we can use it. So Selenium ID is still available, RC deprecated, WebDriver is very popular, and we are learning Selenium Grid also. And here I have mentioned some information about ID. If you really wanted to check what ID it is, so technically it is an environment where you can prepare Selenium test cases. But this environment has a limited scope. Even there are a lot of things which we are not able to do. Like best part is reporting, guys. We don't have reporting strategy in Selenium ID, so we don't use it. Correct? And as I told you, it will only help you for basic testing purpose. So Selenium ID no more use in IT organization, but still this component is a part of Selenium community. Okay. So if you can see, ID in between, when they notice, okay, ID is no more used, then they have deprecated this component also. But then what happened? By apply tool organization, they have added some more points in Selenium ID. That's the reason after August 2017, okay, still we are following Selenium ID in the Selenium community. Again, using ID, you are able to test your application on multiple browser. Now that feature is available. But again, as I told you, because this tool is only used for prototyping, means basic functional testing, we don't follow Selenium ID. But still, if you wanted to check, okay, overview for Selenium ID, let me show you where you can see that. So generally, it is a browser-based tool. Okay, so when you come to the Google and let's say if you just type Selenium ID, okay, then you will able to see this option. Okay, Selenium ID Chrome Web Store. When you come to this, you can install Selenium ID like this. See, generally you will have this option Selenium ID, and here you will able to add it you as an extension. Correct? See, I'm getting option here remove from Chrome. Why? Because I'm already having Selenium ID. Okay, so let's say if I just remove, suppose, let me remove. Then when you open this site, you will get this option add to Chrome. Correct? So what happened whenever you see Selenium ID, you can just click on this option add to Chrome and you are able to add. So now you can see I'm just getting that. Okay, extension is no longer available because it doesn't follow best practices for Chrome extension. Okay, so generally now this ID we don't have as it is not following any Chrome extension. Let me again check. Yeah, so they have removed. Can you see that? Previously we used, right? But now they have removed this extension from the Chrome. So they have mentioned here the extension is no longer available because it doesn't follow the best practices of Chrome. So that's the main point. ID is still available, but nobody follows Selenium ID to test your application. Okay, so this is the point. So now you can't add because it is not following again Chrome extensions properties too. And now what is Selenium same origin policy? Guys, if you remember, we have discussed that, okay, Selenium deprecated Selenium RC. So generally, for every browser, there are some security policies available. And one of the interesting policies is same origin policy. What does mean by same origin policy? So actually, if you are accessing all the web pages from any specific domain, you can call all the pages, all the other feature of same domain, but you can't call any other application which is different than domain. Means suppose I'm using Google, correct? At the time, in a current session, in current browser window, I can access any application related to Google, Gmail, Google Map, okay, Google search engine, I can use. But if you try to think, okay, from Google directly open YouTube, that is not possible. YouTube domain is different, Google domain is different. Means how that internally browser will get to know that which domain application you are accessing. So generally what happens, there is a internal process whenever we use any browser. Okay, let's say this is my browser. How the browser work internally, everyone. Whenever clients send any request, right? So from the browser, we are sending request to the server. Now I'm sending request, okay, I want google.com. This is what the particular, okay, domain I'm passing. Then Google server receives that request. And what this server will do, server will send you response back. Now please understand, whenever you are getting this response, response will never come in the form of UI. Okay? Response will never come in the form of UI. Every response you will get in the form of script. And here comes HTML, JavaScript, all this point, correct? So you will get response in the form of script. What the browser will do, in at a browser site, every browser support JavaScript engine. Okay, the browser site we have one container which we can call JS engine. What this JS engine will do, whenever script will be provided by the server, the script will be loaded inside the JS engine. Got it? Then browser will check the engine and technically we call it as DOM, document object model. So whatever code is there in the DOM, browser will convert that code in the form of UI. That's the reason on the front end side, you will able to see some kind of controls, graphical user interface, and where we are here, we can easily interact with this interface. Are you getting my point? But every browser, it opens all the pages whatever it is there inside that JS engine. Are you getting my point? Here we follow SOP, same origin policy. So if that entire code is related to only Google, all the Google application I can access within the same session, within a same browser. But if you try to open any other another application, same origin policy is restricted to one JS engine to open any other application which is coming from different domain. So this policy is only introduced for the security reason. So guys, please have a look. Same origin policy is introduced for the security reason. It ensures that content of your site will never be accessible by the script from another site. Okay. As per the policy, any code loaded within the browser, you can only operate within that website domain. So same origin policy prohibit JavaScript code from accessing element from the other domain, which is different from the current launch. So if I open Google, I can access everything from Google, but immediately I can't access directly from any other domain. We need to create a new session for that, and there you can access all the properties of different domain. So this policy internally available, and at that time, mostly 2006, right? At that time, what they notice, this policy creates problem for automation. Why? Because in automation, we can open any application, we can test any type of application, right? And that's the reason they introduced Selenium RC. So what was the role of Selenium RC? Selenium RC knows that whatever is there in JavaScript engine, browser is only populating those things in the UI. So RC act like a proxy server at that time. Selenium RC act like a proxy server means whatever script you will write as automation script, those command will goes to the RC. RC inject its own JavaScript engine at the browser side, which have all the instruction whatever you have written in your code. And then browser is thinking here, okay, this JavaScript engine, this whole information coming from real server, but actually it is coming from the RC, which is a proxy server. And then browser populate that entire UI, and then you are able to see the result again through the RC. But then what they notice, RC they have just created as a server. If you really wanted to follow RC architecture on your local machine, you should have browser, you should have proxy server, you should have your automation script also. And this architecture they found very, very critical. Extra component also we needed, that is called Selenium core. And that's the reason this whole process they deprecated. RC process or RC component they deprecated, and then they introduced Selenium WebDriver. So is how WebDriver works. WebDriver violate the policy? No. In Selenium WebDriver is act like an interface. Every browser, every driver of that browser, everyone follows one simple policy, that is, I mean, internally one protocol, that is W3C protocol. Correct? Every browser, every website, it has to follow W3C protocol. So if it is a Chrome browser, correct? Chrome browser, it is also supported W3C protocol. Internally, there is a security, guys. And that's the reason whenever you start automation, you will not deal with a real browser. Automation, Selenium WebDriver will give you dummy browser. And on that dummy browser, we are able to continue our testing. So we are keeping our real browser secure. Try to understand. So if you talk about WebDriver architecture, we don't need real browser directly. What we need a driver of that real browser. Means very first in architecture we have a client. In our case, Eclipse is our client where we are writing the script. But again, plain Java code will not help you to interact with the browser. And so we need first component which is called client library. So Selenium developer, they have developed some client library. In case of Java project, we are using jar file. In case of Maven project, you will use dependency of Selenium. And that we need to add in the Eclipse project. This part we have already seen. But now what is the beauty of this dependency or jar? You will able to write your automation script. Then script will pass your request to whom? Script will pass your request to Selenium server, which is internally the drivers, which is acting like a Selenium server. Okay, means example, now here I'm having that real browser. Okay, let's see. This is my real browser. For security reason, Selenium says you can't directly communicate with real browser. Okay, so here we have a Chrome, right? And I can't directly communicate with Chrome. Then every vendor, means Chrome is developed by Google. So by Google, you are having one more driver file, and that is called Chrome driver. So every browser, they have provided only for a security reason, same origin policy, right? They have provided separate driver. So whenever you write your automation script, you are not communicating with the real. Actually, you are passing your request to this driver. Okay. Then driver internally pass your request to the real browser. Application is tested on that, and whatever result is coming from that driver, same result you will see in your console, that whether your test is pass or whether your test is failed. So internally, this driver is act like a Selenium server, remember, but we don't call it as server, because in WebDriver is just an interface. It's not a server like a RC. Clear? But this is how the architecture internally works. Absolutely. Previously, we use HTTP protocol, right? Normally, now every process they have converted in the form of W3C. So latest architecture of Selenium, we don't have JSON protocol. Even by basic HTTP protocol we are using, because in every web communication we need basic HTTP protocol, hypertext transfer protocol, that is required. But on the top of that, we are using W3C. So current architecture, first component is client library. Second component protocol that we are using W3C for communication. So client is passing request, and request in the form of response you are getting. That is possible through the W3C. Drivers are there. For every browser, there are drivers provided. And this is what the real browser. So these are the four components we have in latest version of Selenium, which is Selenium 4. Clear? So this point I have discussed here. Okay, just have a look. Previously, this was the RC architecture, but as I told you, separate JavaScript engine we use in Selenium RC. But this architecture is quite complicated. So now it is not followed in Selenium. It is totally discontinued, deprecated from the Selenium community. But all the feature of RC we have in WebDriver. Please look at the screen. This is your Selenium WebDriver where you can add a client library of any language. You can write a script. Script will pass to each and every browser driver, which is acting like a Selenium server. And then it will communicate with the real browser. And whatever response you are getting from the real server, that response we can see at the client side. So RC has a lot of benefit. It support different programming languages, different platform, sequential, parallel execution, everything is possible. In fact, RC support multiple framework. Sorry, WebDriver support multiple framework. And those frameworks also we are covering in the training. So like TestNG, you will be learning Maven, you will be learning Cucumber, and based on this, you will understand the whole automation concept. Correct? So it is a we can say cross-platform testing framework, and it is an interface. Remember, WebDriver, it is just an interface. Okay, you can call it as it is an API through which we are able to test web UI automation testing. Okay. Now, what is grid? So guys, grid is commonly follow for whenever you wanted to test any application in a distributed environment. There only we need grid. Means entire automation you will learn based on the WebDriver. The automation concept common, but suppose I wanted to run that application on different environment. There we need Selenium grid. So grid will help you generally to run your application on distributed environment. Means I'm having three platform, Windows, Mac and Linux. And my test cases I wanted to run on three platform. And that is possible with the help of grid. Try to understand. So using grid, you can connect. It's like again, grid internally work on the hub and switch network. So we will see this with respect to Docker, how to create a setup, how to create Selenium grid, and then using grid, how you are able to run your test case on different platform. Okay, parallelly, even sequentially. Both the ways are possible. So this part also I will cover practically, but we will see it at the last. And here I have added Selenium ID, but no more use. You can see we can't add it directly from the browser also. So no need to work or no need to practically perform Selenium ID. But just have a look. These are the points. Like whenever you see ID, when you open it, this is how you will get the ID. You will have record button here and you will have play button here. Correct? Whatever application you are testing, generally we add this way application URL. And then here you can follow Selenium command. So ID doesn't need programming. Using command, you can test your application. But ID now we don't use in real environment. Correct? That's the reason we'll be not discussing Selenium ID. We will directly start our journey towards Selenium WebDriver. So guys, I have taken previous sessions and their ID practical also I have taken, but currently you can see as we can't add it. So I'm not able to show you the practical for ID. But if you wanted to see that previous session recording, I will be sharing with you, and those recording you can follow for Selenium ID. But technically it is not required. Okay. So mainly ID works on this principle: record, playback, and save. We are able to record the script, play it, and we can save it. Okay. And then these are the basic command that we have in Selenium ID: action type, accessor type, and assert type. I think you will get to know this when you watch those recording. So if you want, I can share the recording and you can just go through it, go through that recording, because I'm not able to attach Selenium ID. So I'm not able to show you practically how it works. Okay. So this is extension which is not available now. Previously it was. Okay. So let's skip this part. Only commands part are important, but I will share the recording where you can see this. Okay, so let's start with WebDrive, which is latest component of this community. And you know the many concept of WebDriver, that it is an interface where you can test any web UI testing, correct? In fact, it support multiple browser, multiple programming language. And technically, it only follows playback mechanism. Means recording facility we don't have. You need to write your own logic. Okay? And WebDriver is interface. Great. And now let me talk about architecture. So guys, please have a look. This was the previous architecture. Like you have real browsers on your machine. Then every vendor, they have provided some driver. Okay. And this is your client library. Means in Eclipse, you can set up library. You can write a script. And then using JSON wire protocol, the instruction we are passing to the browser. Clear? But how? We are communicating this driver, guys. We are not communicating directly with the browser. And see, previously over HTTP server, means common architecture supports HTTP protocol, right? So this was the previous protocol. But in latest architecture, what they changed? They noticed that okay, every browser has to follow W3C standard. Every driver also has to base, or it is following W3C standard. Then why not protocol? So they changed protocol to W3C. See, so here I have mentioned basic flow, how the architecture works. See, in Selenium third component, I mean third architecture, these are the four component available. Now see, HTTP JSON request generated and send the browser driver for each Selenium command. Then JSON protocol defines the way to the browser action executed. Driver receives HTTP request, and then through the HTTP server, it decide to step all the step perform instruction on okay, or which are executed on the browser. Means driver will send the request to the real browser. Real browser execute it. And finally, again through the HTTP server or HTTP command, you are able to see that result in the console. So this was the flow for previous architecture. Let us, this is the change. Every driver, it is working like a Selenium server. This is your Selenium client library. When you add it in your Eclipse, then you can start using W3C protocol. We are able to communicate. Request goes to the driver. Driver is sending request to the real server. I mean real browser. And whatever result is coming, that result again we are sending back to the client. So these are the components along with the W3C protocol. We have Selenium latest architecture. See the flow. In W3C protocol, there is a direct information transfer in between server and the client without any JSON wire protocol. So both the Selenium WebDriver and web browser uses identical protocol. Automated Selenium testing will run tests more consistently between various browsers. Because of W3C, now the execution is completely consistent and you will able to see the accurate result. Okay, so this is the change we have in the latest version of Selenium. And if you remember, this part also I have shown you. Entire Selenium classes and interface hierarchy. Remember, search context is a parent interface for Selenium WebDriver. Then we have Selenium WebDriver. Child class is remote WebDriver. So all the method of interface is already implemented by this remote WebDriver class. And now we have all these are what? Child classes. Clear? All these are child classes. So generally when you start writing your script, we just need to follow WebDriver driver is equal to new and any browser specific class object, whatever browser you wanted to open. Are you getting my point? So this is how Selenium classes and interface hierarchy generally we are going to follow. So this part we have discussed in interface session, correct? So today's topic will be starting with WebDriver command. So guys, just have a look. So this is we have completed for Java and now let me talk about Maven. Please remember in real time we are going to follow the Maven project only. Okay, so setup is already completed. Do this setup, those are facing challenge in the setup. Let me know, I will help you. And if you remember, this was the last test case which we have seen, correct? How to open browser, what command is used for that, right? So basically, I will start now this notes. Let me add notes today. Let me copy this and let me add it here. Okay, so we have discussed. Okay, I want Selenium notes actually, not this one. Let me delete. Okay, and let me add here. Yes. So we discussed so far only this much, right? What is WebDriver and how to set up in Java and how to set up in Maven project. Now today, let's talk about WebDriver commands. How many commands you should know, right? First category is what? All the browser command. Okay. So we are going to cover all the browser commands. And what is exactly browser commands, everyone? You need to understand first get command. Purpose of get, where you can pass URL address and get will help you to open application. Whatever URL you are passing, it will help you to open that application. Second command is get title. Get title command, get the title of the application. Remember, title of application. Then we talk about third command, which is get current URL. Get current URL. This command will help you to get the current URL of the application. Remember, of the application. Then we have fourth number command, which is get page source. Command are very easy to remember as it is in the camel case format. So just to get page source. Okay, what does mean by page source? Everything I will show you practically. Don't worry. So just to get the page source, we have this command. Next command which we will be learning, get window handle. Okay, get window handle command. So just to handle parent window, okay, or I will say current active window, current active window. We can handle using get window handle. And we have one more, get window handles command. Okay, get window handles command. So let me write handles. So this command will help you, okay, to handle multiple open window, multiple open window by Selenium. So multiple open window can be parent child window, okay, by Selenium. So let me write Windows by Selenium. How to use it, we will see practically. Then one more command you will understand here, which is close command. Close will close current browser window. So let me just write current browser window. Browser, yes, window. And then we have one more last command to study, which is quit. Quit will help you to close all, okay, all open windows by Selenium. Done. Second category, which will be learning navigation command. So guys, to understand navigation command, first point is Selenium support. Okay, Selenium support. Let me write navigation interface. Okay, navigation interface internally. And with the help of navigation interface, we are able to navigate in between the browser. So there are four special commands you will be learning. Very first, to command. To is another command where you can pass URL and you are able to navigate to that application. So if already one application open and you wanted to navigate to other application, we are using to command. Second command, I will be covering purpose of back. Third command, I will be covering purpose of forward. And fourth command, I will be covering purpose of refresh. These are the common command that we perform certain operation which help us to perform certain operation on the browser. I'll show you practically, but these four command will be covering in the navigation. And third category, which is very interesting, which is web element commands. Okay, web element commands. So what are the commands which comes under web element? Before learning this topic, you need to learn what is web element and how we can automate any web element. So all these points we will continue in our next session, right? So actual practical for Selenium, I will be starting from the next session, right? That will be great because it's already 9:30. So let's stop the session and we will continue all these topics, each and every command, its meaning, everything in depth in the next session. So guys, officially we have completed Java training. Now from next session, maybe on Monday, right? From Monday, we'll be learning everything related to Selenium. So please do not miss any single class. Okay? Chalo, fine. Let me save and we will continue rest of the topics on Monday. Thank you everyone. Bye bye. Take care. Have
Thank
a
you,
nice
ma'am.
day.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.